Appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Dion's Daily Dose. Today, we have special guests for everybody. We have Michael Strauss. Do you prefer Michael or Mike? Gentlemen, to Dion's Daily Dose. Have special guest for everybody. We have Michael Strauss. Do you prefer Michael or Mike?
Mike is fine.
Okay, great. I can hear the little bit of delay there.
I'm getting rid of that.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, great. We're still trying to get this sorted, guys and gals, so we'll figure it out here in just a second. We're still trying to get this sorted, guys and gals, so we'll figure it out here in just a second. We're still trying to get this sorted, guys and gals, so we'll figure it out here in just a second. Still trying to get this sorted. Got a little bit of an audio feedback loop, but we'll get that taken care of. And appreciate everyone coming. A little bit of an audio feedback loop. Once we get that situated, then we can get into the meat and potatoes of the situation. A little bit of an audio feedback loop. Once we get that situated, then we can get into the meat and potatoes. Into the meat and potatoes of the situation. A little bit of an audio feedback loop. Once we get that situated, then we can get into the meat and potatoes. Into the meat and potatoes of the situation. A bit of an audio feedback.
That should be gone now.
Okay, we are going to try this again. Hopefully, it's all taken care of. Yeah, I don't hear anything on my end again, so good deal. So we got Mike Strauss here with us today. He is actually the Libertarian candidate for District 1. And, I heard a little bit, but
that's all right. I figured out what it is.
Good deal. Rock
yeah,
on.
I fixed it. I was going to simulcast, but for some reason, it's not working how it should be. So we're just not going to do that.
Okay, fair enough. That was my concern with some of the other programs. Just minor tangent there for a second. Trying to figure out what programs work for this and which ones don't. And I'm not really up on the stuff. You know a lot more about doing this simulcasting and everything than I do. I will say I've had a lot of flexibility and good results from StreamYard, but I don't know about plugging other stuff into it. But moving on. So what made you decide to run? First of all, before kind of we go there, are there any other candidates, Libertarian candidates, who have actually won in Congress yet?
In Congress, no.
Okay, but local mayors, stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So you're gaining some ground there. What would you say is the biggest hurdle for people who want to run as Libertarians?
I would say that it's overcoming the whole two-party aspect of just regular style voting. People seem to believe that it's let me see what's going on here. It seems like it's freeze framing.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, there we go. Okay, we're good. All right.
Good deal.
So basically, it's just overcoming that normal style of voting where people believe that it's vote spoiling to vote for a third party, and that their vote's not that somebody might get into office that they don't really want there, simply because then it divided the vote of maybe the better of the two evils.
I can see that. Okay. Hi, Paul. Welcome. Tammy said, hey. Hi, Tammy. Okay. So we actually talked about that a little bit on Messenger, you had sent me a couple of links for alternative voting methods. Is this something that you told me you're in favor of the 3-dot method, right?
Well,
the one that you saw,
the instant runoff voting,
instant
which
runoff.
is
That's
which is a multiple candidate voting system where anything over 2 candidates, you would select the top 3 people that you want in order of the candidate that you would like first, second, and third. So say you got 5 candidates, and this happens a lot for, for an example, for like a local race for city council at-large seats, you might see 6, 7 candidates for that at-large seat, and but you can only vote for say 2 or 3 of them. That would be good for that type of instance too, where say you would rather have these people versus these, then you could select, hey, the top 3 that you want, and then how it would work no matter what type of situation you're in, what type of position you're running for, is that then the last place person, then whoever you picked for the the second place, then your vote then would go towards that whoever you pick second, and then it would be another runoff, but it's instant. So you only vote once for your top 3, and then your vote counts towards that person, those people that you wanted. Okay.
Oh, and Chuck wanted to make sure we said happy birthday, Mike, according to your Facebook.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So how old are you now?
38.
38. Okay. Yeah. All right. Getting up there, man. Next thing you know, you'll be staring at big 4-0. Right?
Right.
So I will say that I found the instant runoff interesting. Do you think that that's something that would work in a congressional style, or do you think that that's more limited toward local?
No. It can work for everything, including even presidency. Okay. I mean, it works for absolutely everything. It's used a lot in voting within corporations and stuff like that, for board members and stuff like that. It's used a lot currently for that type of thing, but it can be used for presidency, congressional campaigns, absolutely everything. Because I mean, it would, with this type of voting system, it allows for your vote to count for who you want it to count for. So I mean, okay. Because I mean, it's like, not every candidate is going to, have everything you want. Okay. Right, you don't get everything you want in life. So, maybe you like this person here, and you like this person here, and you like this about this person, this about this person, but you're like, I definitely don't want them. So right. then you could vote for who you want to vote for, and you'd be like, well, I'd rather have this person, candidate 1, and over candidate 2. So, but if candidate 2 got into office, that'd be okay too.
Yeah.
So then you could vote for who you truly believe should be in office, and be happier with your vote than say, well, I guess I better vote for them, otherwise I want to get them in office, and that's not happening.
Right. But the issue is currently, I think people are kind of justified in their belief when you only have a single vote. You don't have the instant runoff system or the multiple, selection system. Isn't there a little bit of justification for people that think, well, a vote for a candidate who isn't going to win in their mind is a wasted vote? Now, before you answer that, I do want to say I'm actually a big proponent of multiple parties, not just 2. Even though I'm running as a Republican and I am a Republican, I'd like to see more parties with validity in our voting systems, right? Do you think that there's any validity to people who claim that, it is kind of a wasted vote because you're taking votes away from somebody who isn't as bad as, say, candidate C?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, if you want to get on the same, if everybody were to get on the same page and be like, you know what, we're never going to get over this hump. It's sort of like trying to get over a huge speed bump or a hill. If you don't, get all four tires in sync and get your speed and everything in a row and all your ducks in a row, you're never going to get that car over the hump and get to the other side and get on your way. So, we have to have our ducks in a row and just realize, look, if we want to change what's going on in this country, we need to get our ducks in a row and just simply be like, you know what, maybe we need to take this plunge and get over this hump. Then we can get a better voting system, because with the two parties, we're never going to have that, because the system is rigged in their favor with this. So
I agree.
So I mean, if we want to get over that hump and we want to have a truly beneficial voting system that can move this country forward, then that's what we need to do. Is we need to make sure that if you want a third party candidate in office, then vote for that third party candidate. Don't just say, well, you know what, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, because you're right. It's not going to happen.
Right.
I mean, if you say that it's not going to happen and you just keep voting the same way, then it's not going to happen, and you might as well stop complaining, because you're doing this to yourself.
Right. No, I would agree with that. That's kind of the whole argument, especially, Congress as well, but President especially. You look at some of the third party prospects that are out there, and it's like they're not going to secure enough votes. So the only thing we're doing is splitting the vote between people who might legitimately win and costing them the election. I know that there are all alternatives out there, right? You showed me one of them. What other things do you think can be done to really bring about effectively change our voting system so that real people have a better opportunity than those paid for by the establishment? People have a better opportunity than those.
Sorry about that. I was in the process of trying to send my viewers over to your stream.
Yeah.
So you might see an influx over there real quick. Okay. But anyway, so can you repeat the question, please?
Sure, no problem. What do you feel? You shared with me, like you said, the instant runoff voting, which would do some good. I looked at it. I got to say, it has merit. And we've seen it in places, not necessarily in Indiana so much, but in places around the country where you get multiple votes, right? So number one, number two, number three. What other things do you think can be done with our election system to ensure that regular people like you and I, because I don't think we're all that different, regular people that aren't bought and paid for by the establishment have a real chance at representing their district versus those that the establishment want in? And we can point to who, we know the names, but the people that the establishment say, no, these people should be in power versus the regular people. Right. What do you think we can change?
Well, first of all, we need to start with working on our voting system in regards to actually getting votes to count that should count, and votes that shouldn't count not counting, in regards to people that have been deceased. It's nice to know that everybody has the right to vote, but I'm not sure, and this is, I guess, a really nice constitutional question, if your vote counts after you're deceased. Do you still have the right to vote after you're deceased, and for someone else to make that decision for you?
Right. No, it's a good point. It is. It's funny, but realistically speaking, Yeah, it does call all kinds of things into question. Let's see here. McNeish says, how about publicly funded elections? What do you think about that idea? Rather than campaign, generating their own funds, what about a certain amount that's divvied up among the candidates?
Okay, so then basically we're going to raise taxes to fund political campaigns.
Taxes are
That's,
one idea, but
that seems very like a very socialist idea to say, well, you know what, we're going to have campaign equality here, just so that everybody can get their ideas out there. As a there's no way that I'm going to raise the $5 million that I was told that it's going to
right.
take to secure the seat. But you know what? Oh well, I guess I'll do
Yeah.
what I can. But it's not the government's job to divvy up tax dollars for campaigns. Just like I don't believe that it's the government's job to regulate campaign finance. Um, if people are donating to a campaign, then okay. I mean, now the only campaign finance regulations that I believe that should be in place should be possibly in place. If we had to go that far, would be to have all contributions that are made to a campaign be public record.
Okay.
But because that helps with accountability. But otherwise, that I believe that's the extent of it. Um, there shouldn't be limitations. There shouldn't be anything like that. That doesn't make any sense. It's not the job of government to regulate something like that. So, that's my thoughts on it.
Okay. Shannon also said, sir, it's not a socialist idea. It's a means to remain independent from lobbyists. I understand.
Well, it is a socialist idea because when you're talking about that the government is going to tax Americans to fund something, that's a socialist idea.
Yeah.
It's not a constitutional republic ideal. It's not anything other than a socialist idea to steal from people to give to other people.
Shannon said, I'm positive if you look hard enough in the federal budget, you can do it without raising taxes. I would agree with that. I will say there's a dichotomy there. We may not agree on what it constitutes, but we are kind of, Paul had said we are already forced to fund R&D campaigns in one sense or another. The issue that I think is, and one thing I wanted to point out, I know that you said before you would like to see complete transparency from campaign finance. What's your take though on the situation like we have now where there's such vile hatred for the president of the United States from some people, not everyone, but some people hate Trump so much that the people who donate to his campaign become a target. That's kind of the issue that some people are experiencing, especially out on the West Coast. They're being targeted because they donated to his campaign. Do you see an issue there?
Well, the issue is it depends on how they're being targeted. If they're being targeted where it violates the law, then those people that are doing those things should be prosecuted. It's just that simple. But in regards to what you said about the government funds R&D campaigns to an extent, yeah, they do, because our Republicans and Democrats should which leads to my other point. Okay, so with Republicans and Democrats, yeah, their primaries are funded. Taxpayers pay for that. Even if you're not a Republican or Democrat, you still pay for that in tax dollars, and that shouldn't be the case. That's because taxation is theft, and that's just the way that is. But so if Republicans and Democrats had caucuses like we do, then all of that would be done internally, and then I believe that if you really wanted to increase the increase voter turnout, especially during a primary, you hold a caucus because just saying, well, hey, go to this polling place and vote, and that being your reasoning that you couldn't have a caucus because there's so many people that vote Republican or Democrat.
Right.
That
Right.
if you were to if that was actually the case, then why is it that the voter turnouts are anywhere between 10 to maximum maybe 16% sometimes, or maybe a little higher, depends on the area. But if you were to have a caucus, then people would be forced to get involved, actually get up and go out and make that attempt to go and vote in that primary. And especially with today's technology, you can have remote caucuses where you don't even have to leave your county. You just go to your like the GOP office there in LaPorte. I don't know if there's one in Michigan City or not, but you
Yeah,
can go
there's
right
one in
to
LaPorte, but not Michigan City.
okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So you
Yeah.
go right there to the office,
Yeah.
and you have your mini convention right there,
Yeah.
and everybody teleconferences in to the state convention or whatever, and it simply votes like that. I mean, you could do a whole bunch with today's technology.
I will agree with
not
that.
being
Yeah.
done, and there's absolutely no reason in today's society where we should have to fund Republican and Democrat primaries, and if they want to have, because it would be such a game changer to have primaries that weren't funded by our tax dollars.
Right. How do you feel about term limits? Kenneth wants to know term limits. Yes, no.
Yeah, I mean, term limits are really good because you should never be a
Okay.
career politician. Being a politician is not about having a career, not about having insurance or anything like that, or retirement. It's about service to your community.
Right. Okay. I would agree with that. Chris Wells says I spent less on my whole campaign than my opponent spent on one billboard he had put up by my house. Speaking of billboards, I do want to point out, I don't know. I haven't seen, do you have any signs up yet?
No.
Okay. Are you planning on getting some?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering because McDermott had one put up at the corner of 400 and 421, which is really funny because from everyone that I've talked to, no one has bothered to put up any signs in Michigan City before for first district until someone from Michigan City ran. Chris Wells says just got to put in the legwork and have a better message. Paul says third party doesn't get anything from campaigning. They are 100% grassroots, and I will agree with that. Chris Wells said West Coast, wear a red hat in Chicago, which actually followed up here, says wear a red MAGA hat anywhere and you're targeted. I talked about this in a statement. I know you're not a huge fan of President Trump. I know that you have serious issues with some of the things that his record, as it were. Who would you like to see if the election, the 2020 election, was held today? Who would you vote for president?
I would probably do as I always do and vote for the Libertarian candidate.
Okay, and who's is there a Libertarian candidate this time?
Either that or this last presidential election, I just abstained. I didn't vote for a presidential candidate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So fair enough. I appreciate the honesty. So let's say there's no Libertarian candidate. Is there that you know of this upcoming 2020?
Yes, the national convention hasn't been held yet, so
Okay.
one hasn't been established yet. But I don't believe. Well, there. So there are two. There are a few options that I would consider voting for as a libertarian candidate.
Okay.
But if the LP decides on doing something stupid like they did last presidential election, then yeah, I'll just abstain again.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So Shannon wants to know: will you take lobby cash?
No.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know if he's asking you. He's been on mine before and hasn't asked me.
Right.
Because he had said before Pete was bought by lobbyists. I'm not getting the feeling you won't be. Also, will you take lobby cash? So I assume it was kind of in that whole thing. So let's see here.
Matter of fact, I will refuse to register for the insurance, and I haven't decided. And for the because the income that a congressman makes is different from the budget that is set for travel expenses and things like that.
That's true. That's true.
So I mean, as far as I'm concerned,
So
so long as my travel expenses are taken care of and things like that, and budget expenses for offices, things like that, then I'm not even concerned about the income. Because
okay.
as far as I'm concerned, this is a service to my community.
Okay, I can see that. Look, I'll be honest. I look forward to the paycheck, and not because I want to get rich, because you're not going to get rich off of it. But realistically speaking, if we could do something to where nobody got paid, I'd be all for it. I'd sign it. But I'm not going to put myself at a disadvantage. If I came from a rich family where I could afford to not take a paycheck or any of that stuff, absolutely. Let's face it, 99% of the people that are in Washington don't care about that money they get every year. The $174,000, it's irrelevant to them. They have more than enough. They could afford. That's why when there's calls for these people to not be paid, right, while Congress is shut down or while we're on lockdown with the unconstitutional orders of various places, they're not affected by that. They don't care. But I have, kids that I have to take care of. I have a wife that I have to take care of. I'll take the insurance, which, by the way, the insurance is probably the least of the benefits that they get. I appreciate the fact that you're able to do this with no worry about getting the paycheck. I'm not of that ilk. It would help me a great deal. It would certainly take me from this tiny little tax bracket way down here to way up here. I mean, all I can do is be honest. Sam Newton said, I'd beg for Tulsi Gabbard as a write-in because she's my dream wife. What do you think about Tulsi? I've seen her. I think she got a raw deal from the DNC. I do think that. But what do you think about her policies? Have you heard much about her or studied her at all?
I don't even know who that is.
You don't know who Tulsi Gabbard is?
No, was she the one that I may have. Was she the one that said something about Biden yesterday? I may have heard that on the radio yesterday. I may have heard her say something about Biden on the radio yesterday. I don't know.
She ran for president. She was in the first couple of the Democratic debates. She called out Kamala Harris on her policies as Attorney General when Harris was the Attorney General for California. she actually prosecuted people for marijuana usage. She actually didn't let people out of death row, even though there was evidence to exonerate them, all kinds of stuff. Tulsi Gabbard was the one that called her on all that. She was actually the last person in the race that wasn't, and the DNC did her very, very wrong, just like they did Bernie, but in a whole different way. That's Tulsi Gabbard. She's from Hawaii. She's tall, pretty, dresses in white. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about now. Yeah.
All
Did you see your viewer count on YouTube?
Let's see. We're up to 1881 total, which 1869 are from YouTube. I'm assuming those are your viewers. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. Hey, I'm okay with that. Let's see here. So Ken has asked, first of all, Ken would like to ask Chuck to unblock him. But that's between you guys. He also would like to know why you are against the police. So and I'll give you a few minutes to explain that, because I know you have a history, of fighting for rights and stuff like that. I don't want anybody to misinterpret that. You've said it before that you have a very strong sense of people protecting their oath, right? The ones there are fine officers out there. I don't think you dispute that, right? There are good officers out there, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there are.
So it's the ones that don't uphold their oath, the ones that, infringe upon rights that you have a problem with. Correct.
Okay. So let's get into that then. So, there are tons of good officers out there. There are. So it's not about being against the police. It's about accountability and transparency.
Okay.
So for instance, let's talk about the problems here in District 1 specifically. I mean, it may not seem like it on a daily basis because people don't pay attention to this, or they don't know it, or they don't realize it. But the local governments here are in war with the people.
Okay.
We are in a state of war against our government here locally, and it literally is just that bad. So, for instance, let's start with we might as well just start with Lake County and move on over to Michigan City here. For starters, City v. Chicago. For example, when you walk into the courtroom, and as everybody knows, and there's established case law all over the place, that media can report on things that happen in open court. There are certain restrictions to that, but during trials, things like that, or during specific types of hearings, but then the media is taken out of the courtroom for that type of situation. But otherwise, when you walk into the courtroom and right in front of everybody, they don't even try to hide this. Right in front of everybody, the bailiff walks up to you and tells you that you have to put your pad of paper, clipboard, and legal documents away because there is, quote, no reading or writing in the courtroom.
They said there's no writing in the courtroom?
There is no reading or writing in the courtroom.
I'm not familiar with that law.
I'm not either. So, yeah. So, that is a blatant rights violation. Anybody else, if they would have said that to anybody else other than me, they would have put their stuff away. Says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, don't beat me. Don't whip me." Oh, yeah. No, not me. I told him to go ahead and repeat himself. I got louder, and everybody that was waiting in that courtroom heard what went on. So now there is a federal lawsuit filed in the U.S. District, Northern District, there in Hammond, and since the bailiff said that it was a rule of the court, and said that it was a rule that was put in place by Judge Sonia Morris, she's included in the lawsuit. The bailiff's included in the lawsuit. The head bailiff's included in the lawsuit. All that. So when you walk into the East Chicago, the building there in East Chicago, it's a shared building between the police department, clerk's office, and court. The Indiana Supreme Court rule regarding cameras and filming only applies within the courtroom and the surrounding areas, such as the jury hallway and jury room, things like that.
Right.
It doesn't include anything other than that. No other area is considered a secured area. Well, when you walk in and you get attacked and threatened simply because you're filming an altercation that's happening or a discussion that's happening between a bailiff and a person standing there asking questions for accountability purposes, and then they run over and attack you and literally grope you, and you don't know if they're trying to impregnate you or what. It's literally that bad. There's a problem there when you're a citizen just standing back seeing what's going on, and they're attacking you because you're standing there watching them or standing there filming these rights violations that are happening and stuff like that. There's a problem with that. And then when you bring it to the attention of those that should be holding these people, these subordinates accountable, they don't care. Okay, so mayor, city council, the city manager, anything like that. When you bring it to these people, they don't care. They're just like, whatever, this, that, excuse, blah, 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 whatever. So then we move on from East Chicago, and let's go over to Gary. And when you're standing outside your house and at 8:30 at night, and you see a huge moving truck over there, two Gary squad cars pull up, how many citizens out there be like, I wonder what's going on outside my house?
Right.
Okay, so you go out and you take a look. You're standing back on the other side of the street, and then all of a sudden, they come walking over, and one of the officers throws a fit about you filming them, and then they arrest you. They almost break your hand, and you get put in jail for 3 days. Now, mind you, that your charges are dismissed, and all that, but you get all of this stuff happening to you, all because you decided to walk outside and see what was going on in your neighborhood.
Yeah, I've seen. You know what? I've actually seen quite a few videos where, unfortunately, many officers don't know the law when it comes to filming. Right? They don't understand that it does fall within the First Amendment, right? And the Supreme Court has decided on that several times, if I recall, because people keep bringing it up, right? They've ruled on it that as long as you're in a public area, including a sidewalk, but the loophole that's being used, if I understand correctly, is that the police can say that you're interfering with police duty, right?
That's not exactly the case. That's also been ruled on, and you're not interfering with the duty of the police if they can still perform their duty, and you're not actually interfering. You have to be interfering with them. The actual act of filming them is not an interference.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So that's been ruled on too. But okay, so then. Let's move away from this whole filming aspect and to Maryville. Okay, so in Maryville at the post office, I met a guy there, and I had to give him some stuff, and then he came over. He had to mail some stuff out certified. He went up he was the last customer for the day. He goes up to the window. And he takes care of his transaction. Then there was a dispute about it and everything, so he went to another teller. She took care of him. They closed down the window. Everybody went on with their life. He went then over to one of the little tables out in the lobby by the post office boxes. to prepare the mail that he needed to send that wasn't certified. Okay. And as we're in there taking care of that, and I'm waiting for him to get done, apparently the post office then called the police and said that somebody was trespassing. And so they came, and one of the officers then decided that he was going to get a big head and tell me that, mind you, I had nothing to do with any of this. I'm simply just standing there waiting for him to get done, nothing like that. And so that is it. I'm just standing there and waiting. And he tells me that I need to leave a public building. He tells me that I need to leave and that I'm being trespassed and I'm no longer allowed to come back there.
Wow.
I've done nothing, never committed a crime there, nothing at all. So then I asked him for his name and badge number, and that set it all off. Then once I asked him his name and badge number, that set it off. I told him that only under duress am I leaving, and that I would be filing a complaint and all that. And then all of a sudden, then he wanted my ID, and I told him that I wasn't giving him ID, that under state law, you only have to give ID for if you're accused of an ordinance violation or an infraction. And so an infraction or an ordinance violation. So that would be a local ordinance violation or an infraction under state statute.
Okay.
Right. Okay, and that's the only way. It's a Title 34 code, and that's the only way you have to ID in Indiana. So I told him that I wasn't giving him my ID, and that was the way it was going to be. So then he threatened me with arrest. I gave him my ID under duress so that I wouldn't be arrested.
Okay.
Because you don't have to be arrested to have your rights violated.
Right. I would agree.
Simply by him trespassing me, simply by him threatening me with arrest for if I didn't leave, telling me that if I didn't give my ID, I would be arrested. Those are all rights violations, and I didn't need to be arrested to have my rights violated. So I figured, well, okay, fine, whatever. I'll give you my ID, and then I'll just go ahead and deal with this later on.
Right. Let me ask you this, just to interject real quick.
Yeah.
I have, so as a former correctional officer, right, I've been in kind of that situation where I've had to demand something from I knew he was going to become confrontational.
That's a different situation. That's an inmate.
No, I agree. But I'm going towards something here. Do you believe that there are ways that people who are filming, because I actually just watched a video the other day of a guy who had gone through the Georgia, I think it was Georgia Bureau of Investigations office and filmed it, right?
Okay.
And then he was leaving. Right. It's First Amendment, absolutely legal.
So long as it is in non-secure areas.
Right. So the guy actually came out of the building and asked him to stop. He did not. He left. The guy pulled him over. Here's the point. When the guy stopped him, the guy who was filming became very confrontational. Do you think that there are ways that the people who are filming the police, watching the watchers, as it were, could go about doing this a little differently, a little less confrontationally? Do you think that there's a way that everybody could get kind of what they want, and we could, because look, the facts are the facts. People know that there are bad eggs in every basket. Bad officers exist, bad correctional officers exist, bad FBI agents exist. But do you think that there's ways that this could be done to where it's not quite as
I do. Okay. Okay. So this is a two-part answer. For one, really simply, yes, there is a way, but the way to go about that is for them to simply not violate people's rights. And then they wouldn't start that confrontation to begin with. So if you don't start that confrontation, it's not going to continue, and there won't be any reason for escalation. Nothing. Okay, you just simply do your job and don't violate people's rights, and then you don't have what's to follow.
Right.
Okay. Okay. However, if it happens, then okay, the reason why, and for the most part, and I'm telling you this based on my personal experience, is that sometimes, yeah, there have been times where I have gone off the deep end.
Okay.
Literally,
Okay.
literally gone off the deep end. I was one time I was in the Miller area of Gary. There was a police chase. It ended right there by the South Shore Station. I was filming what was going on,
Okay.
and as a matter of fact, I was on my way home.
Were they
I
chasing
happened
you?
I no no they
Oh,
were me.
no, I'm just
Well,
asking. I'm just
no,
trying to
so
make sure I got the whole situation
all right.
here.
So I was on my way home. I was almost home. I was tired, and all of a sudden I seen this going on, and I was like, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna film this. People are gonna want to see this. I'll post it, and people are definitely gonna want to see this. Well,
Right.
um, I mean, who doesn't want to see a police chase? And
Right.
then the end
Right.
result of it, right?
Well, that's the entire premise of live PD is all the fun
Right.
stuff, right?
Right. So, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, very rarely do you get a media account of what's going on live when it's happening.
Yeah, I
Normally, it's
agree.
just a story of what happened afterwards based on the report filed by police.
Yeah.
So I stopped there and I'm filming this. And matter of fact, I think I went live that night, filmed it and everything. They kept trying to circle my vehicle to get my plate number and everything. Because there was a state police that were there, not Gary PD. Gary PD already know who I am. So state police were trying to circle my vehicle and figure out who I am. I kept backing up in the parking lot to prevent them from doing it. And so after everything was over, I pulled out of the parking lot and went around to the corner, and then I ended up pulling into Speedway because I seen him pull out and follow me.
Okay.
Okay, so
At this point, all you had done was film stuff, right?
Yeah. So I thought.
Okay.
So he came out of the parking lot, and his intention was to follow me and pull me over anyway to ID me and figure out who I was. That was his intention. So, and I already knew it. So I was going to pull into the Speedway parking lot to see because I already knew he was going to pull me over. And normally now, if I know that I'm going to get pulled over, I just pull myself over now. So,
right, I can see that.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so he comes up to the vehicle. He puts his lights on, pulls me over, comes up, tells me that I need to. That the reason why he pulled me over is because I didn't have my tail lights on, because I had just had my daytime running lights on. I didn't realize my tail lights weren't on.
Okay.
So yeah, he had a valid reason to pull me over. He did. Okay. But because of the situation and other things that had happened just recently before that, my PTSD had been exacerbated to the point where I hadn't had enough. And with everything that was going on while I was there on the scene, and them trying to prevent me from filming, things like that, because they was intentionally trying to place their vehicles in a spot that would prevent me from being able to film. I would move, they would move, all kinds of that. It was a big, strategy game.
Okay.
So because of that, my PTSD went into effect, and I completely went into Hulk mode, and I went off on him. I completely went off on him. I told them that they needed to stop retaliating, this and that. And then when I realized that I didn't have my taillights on, I sort of calmed down a little bit for the moment. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. I didn't have my taillights on. Sorry about that. But then he continued to go on and on and on. Instead of just leaving it be, he continued to go on and on and on. And then he gave me the ticket, and then at that point, I got out of my vehicle. I went back, and there were two cars there at that point. And I noticed that the one cop had his daughter in the car with him while he was responding to that police chase. I don't even know how many policies that violates. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a better way to handle that. But I mean, it was just at that point where I was like, that my PTSD took over, and it was one of those things where, why did you even have to pull out of the parking lot to follow me with the intention of retaliating in the first place?
Right.
I wasn't in their way. I wasn't doing anything. It was just simply they didn't want to be filmed. They were going through that person's car and everything. If they, I don't know, but if they wanted to plant something, then that would have definitely prevented them from doing that by me being there filming them.
So,
all that. So
yeah. And, so several people have said they kind of want to see Hulk mode. So do you Sam says I want to see Hulk mode. Another person wants to know if you'll go into Hulk mode if you don't get your way. I will say, look, all other things aside, we do need someone who's going to stand up, for the district. But my wife says, why should voters vote for you? What's your platform? What's the thing you're running on that's different from the Democrats, different from the Republicans, libertarian-ish? Go.
Well, I would say that number one is transparency and accountability. There is not a single other candidate out there that will take accountability and transparency to the level that I can take that and have proven to take that. It's more than just about my rights being violated. When I was out driving one night, there was a lady that was we was filming a police encounter there in Gary. She this girl, she was like maybe 110 pounds soaking wet.
Okay.
And they had pulled her boyfriend over for something because they said he ran a stoplight or something like that. I don't remember. But they pulled him over. They was taking him to jail or something like that. But they made her get out, and they were going to they told her to walk away and leave and everything. She was in the vehicle. They told her to get out. They told her she couldn't get her stuff. Nothing like that. She wanted her purse or something. Mm-hmm. And so then she was backing away, and she was just going to leave. And then one of the officers came over, a big guy. He came over there, and he slammed her into the ground, bent her arms up behind her back, straight up to the point where they were almost at a 90-degree angle to her head.
Okay.
Behind her back,
right,
and if not further forward, and was stepping on her head. When they took her to the ground, when he slammed her to the ground, I found out later she had busted teeth. Okay, and then she now has problems with her shoulders and one of the vertebrae in her spine, all because of this incident. It was completely uncalled for, and then when I did I published a video and did a news story on my news website, ninewsmakers.com.
Okay.
And there was it turned it into a big thing, and it brought some accountability to it, but definitely a lot of transparency to it. Now, when it comes down to it, when it's somebody else's rights being violated, I can only do so much. I can bring attention to the issue, but
is that the right link right there?
What's that?
On screen? ninewsmakers.com.
ninewsmakers.com. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Just wanted to make sure everybody got the link.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, when it comes to situations like that, I can only bring so much attention to it. I can't, make a person go further with it and pursue it. If they feel that that they're being promised, that these charges are going to be dropped, and if you don't make a big deal of this, we're going to drop your charges, or this or that or whatever, and they feel that's what they want to do. That's up to them.
Okay, Shannon wants to know how you'll fix it. He wants to know what you've talked about, transparency and accountability. Right. How can we fix it? Because I'm willing to help. How can we fix when there are issues like this? What can we do?
Okay, so there's a lot of different things that can be done. We need both civil and criminal justice reform, and a lot of that goes towards making, in this regard, a lot of that goes to making sure that there is a way for individuals to not have to rely on county prosecutors to file charges against these police officers, or it may be the mayor or city councilman or whoever that are violating rights or doing things that they shouldn't be doing. All of this corruption that's going on, it's more than rights violations, it's corruption in general. And as you know, there's not a lack of corruption in District 1. I mean, yeah, we could be sitting here forever talking about the corruption in Lake County, and then we could be sitting here talking, and simply because that has been made into a big thing, a lot of people don't know, and it's all been it's all been shadowed in LaPorte County. But LaPorte County, I believe, has double the amount of corruption than Lake County.
I don't know. That's a pretty tall order.
It is.
Lake County's pretty bad. I don't know the LaPorte County. No, I will say this. People know, the people who live in LaPorte County, they know where the issues are. We've seen it.
I grew up in LaPorte. I was born in LaPorte, grew up in LaPorte.
Okay, so the lawyers know the judges, know the this and the that, right?
Yeah, it's a good old boys club.
So, first of all, how do you feel about FISA? Are you one of the ones that believe that FISA does what it's supposed to do? Or do you think that we need it gone? We need fundamental reform to it? What's your thoughts as far as FISA goes?
I don't really. It's not doing what it needs to do. Okay. So here's the thing. I mean, back to the question that you had about what we can do.
Yeah.
Is that we can make sure that people, here in the state of Indiana, every citizen has the power of citizen's arrest. However, it's sketchy and vague.
Right.
Okay. All right. You're supposed during the citizen's arrest, then you're supposed to turn that person over to the nearest law enforcement official. Then they process them. The person that performs the citizen arrest is liable. The officer's not. That takes custody is not liable. They're just simply processing them. However, trying to get a police officer to take custody of an individual you've placed under citizen's arrest, the chances of that happening here is zero. It's not going to happen. So, what we need is to reform that so that there's a process in place that makes it so that can happen. Where it's defined that they have to take custody. They have to do this process. What is needed for this process? Does the citizen is doing the citizen's arrest? Do they have to produce a probable cause and information affidavit? Do they have to, do what? Because none of that's defined. Other things that we need to do is we need to make sure that it is a criminal liability for an individual in government to violate somebody's rights. To knowingly violate a person's rights should be a criminal offense, that it should be a felony, and you should not be able to hold an office or a position in the public sector ever again if you're convicted.
Okay.
So
interesting.
because that's like saying that because having that, a 1983 or 1985 provision without having a penalty provision in there is like no consequences.
Right.
There's no consequences there. If you're just going to get sued and the city's going to pay for it, what does it matter to you, right? Because in the city, they're going to be willing to settle for anything less than $10,000, because $10,000 is the cap for most insurance companies before the city or the municipality, whatever jurisdiction, has to actually come out of pocket.
So
anything less than 10,000 is just we'll pay it.
Yeah.
That's why you see lawsuits for $1 million or $500,000 or whatever.
Right.
But
I think that more goes towards an attorney. What about FISA though? Because Shannon really wants to know how you feel as far as FISA goes. Do you think that it's something that needs to be repealed? Do you think that it's something that should completely go away, or because it was initially designed to protect us from, foreign terror, right? Is it something that you're on board with? Do you believe in that? Do you think that it's been manipulated?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's it has been okay. So FISA is okay, so
it's a multi-layered thing.
It is. It really is. I mean, we've gone forever about this FISA thing simply because, I mean, FISA is there are so many loopholes and so many problems. I don't even know where to begin. Okay,
That's all right.
I mean, I don't know where to begin because there are so many. When you talk about when you talk about FISA, you have to go into a lot of things. That would be like what the all of these states and federal governments are trying to do right now. We're talking about these medical things.
Yeah.
They get up there and they talk about all these medical concepts and all of this and that, and that you're not going to understand. But it makes them sound like they're intelligent, and it makes them sound like they know what they're talking about, and that they know what they're doing. Let's just and not worry about it. But you don't know what they're talking about. And for us to actually talk about the intricate matters of what's wrong with it, we got to speak that legal lingo, and talk about the whole in-depth concept of it. There are good things and there are bad things, but I can definitely, if you want to, if they want, I can definitely make an outline of some of those things and try to put it into.
I think they were just wondering
common language and stuff. We can do
where you stand on it.
We can do something else at another point, just on that, and and go into it in detail, and then have a question and answer period just about that. I don't mind.
No, that's fine. Liz wants to know. Okay, so we know that the healthcare system is one of our biggest flaws as a country, right? Regardless of which side of the debate you sit on, whether you like Medicare for all or whether you're, in love with the free market, our system has issues that need to be fixed. What would you do to reform the healthcare system, and what do you feel is the best way to handle the inverted pyramid of our aging population?
All right. So first of all, if people afterwards want to go to firstforliberty.com, 1stforliberty.com, click on the issues page, go to healthcare. There's a video there and an explanation of what I'm about to tell you.
Okay, I'm going to put that in the chat here. Okay. The number 1 stforliberty.com, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, fixing our healthcare system is a 4-step process for the most part, but we can actually have healthcare for all and do it without a one-payer system, without a single-payer system, we can still do that, and have you be able to keep the insurance carrier that you have, go to the doctors that you want to go to, all of that. Simply, so you get the best of both worlds.
Okay.
You don't have to sacrifice paying for other people, having your premiums raised simply because an insurance company has to cover people with pre-existing conditions. You don't have to have your healthcare insurance premiums being raised simply because you have people that the insurance company has to cover that aren't paying their fair share, stuff like that. But how we do that is first of all, we need to deregulate a lot of things that are going on in healthcare.
Okay.
The FDA is a serious problem. And for starters, if we can have, during a pandemic, if we can have all of these medical students or medical personnel that aren't registered in this state come to this state and practice medicine and do what they do, and without a problem, and it's okay, then why do we need these licensing requirements? And these licensing requirements are only in place to inflate the cost of healthcare.
Okay.
Okay, because it's like saying, because you can only go to these people to receive your healthcare, to get this done, to get that done. So they can charge a premium for that. That's just like attorneys. They can charge a premium, 135, 165, 335 an hour if you're, certain lawyers, $335 an hour. So, and they can charge that premium because it's against the law to practice, to practice law without a bar card.
Okay, so are you suggesting that anybody should be able to practice medicine without going to medical school?
Well, what I'm saying is that
I'm just wondering, because with the licensing, it goes into that.
So what I'm saying is that that anyone, no matter who you are,
Okay.
should be able to, in a free society,
Okay.
should be able to hang a sign up front and say that this is what they do.
Okay. So
and
sell a service.
And sell a service.
Right. Okay.
Now, it's up to the individual that's receiving that service to do their due diligence and to decide, do I want this person to do this, or do I want this person to do this? And, and decide who they want to perform that service. Who do they want to pull that tooth? Who do they want to take out their gallbladder? Who do they want to do this or do that? And so it's in a free society. That's how that works. It's your choice who you want to do it. You don't have to go to that person that hasn't went to medical school and that they were simply taught by their dad because their dad was a doctor.
Right.
But if you want to go to them because you like them, whatever, so be it.
Okay, so Chris Wells.
Okay, so here's the thing. So you now where licensing comes in, licensing can still be a good thing because that's an accreditation. But in any other field, accreditations aren't provided by the government. Accreditations are provided by a private accreditation agency that have professional standards, and if you meet those professional standards, then they give you an accreditation. And it works in the educational system, and auto mechanics have ASE certifications. In my IT industry, we have CompTIA certifications, Sun certifications, all kinds of stuff like that. Microsoft certifications. So those are accreditations. And if you have those, accreditations, you can charge more simply because you have that accreditation. There's a stamp there by you now that says he knows how to do this. We agree he knows how to do this. So you can charge more. And it works the same way in the healthcare field. If you have that license, you can practice medicine. But in a free society, if that private accreditation agency says, you know what, he knows how to do this, and they give you that accreditation, chances are you're going to have not only more patients and be able to charge more, charge a premium because you have that accreditation versus somebody that's out here that hung a sign and he learned from his dad how to remove a gallbladder.
Right.
But it's still up to you to decide who you're going to go to. Another thing, okay, is that, okay, so I know Chris had a question. I'm just trying to get all this in. So,
Yeah.
okay, so how we work on this whole insurance aspect, because that was a big part of that question, is the insurance aspect.
Yeah.
And you don't want to pay for somebody's insurance that's not out here working and not paying their fair share. And there are people out there that they can't afford health insurance. So what do we do? What do we do about that? And for able to get everybody health insurance. So what we do about that is we make it so that there's an incentive for healthcare providers, no matter what they do. All right, they could be an extra. They could just go in and do X-rays and MRIs and all that, or they could be a full-scale hospital, a clinic, or whoever. I don't care what they do. Chiropractic care, massage therapy, because massage therapy has great medical benefits. I don't care what healthcare service you provide. We allow them an incentive to give pro bono services to those that cannot afford health care or have pre-existing conditions that don't allow those people to be able to afford an insurance carrier that will cover them.
Okay, so you are not in favor of insurance as far as mandating, right? That they have to take it or have to have it.
No. So no mandated insurance.
Okay.
So yeah, so there should never be a mandate for insurance. And but so what we do is we give them an incentive, give those healthcare providers an incentive. So for instance, what I would say is that service for service. So say if you go to the doctor and the doctor charges $90, or let's say they charge $100 for an office visit.
Okay.
And that's what they would normally charge to you or a health insurance provider, which they are two different prices, by the way.
Right.
But let's say that they are the same price there. And then they would be allowed to take that, so long as they provide the same, an office visit to someone that could not afford an office visit, and then they could take that $100 that they didn't receive from that person and they did pro bono work, and they could get that as a tax deduction off of their tax liability.
Okay. So basically, by providing pro bono work, they could get money off, or
they could get that amount up. So basically, they could essentially get 50% of their tax liability completely wiped clean if it was service for service,
right.
For a paid, and it's only based on the amount of people that someone paid, someone paid, and then someone had a pro bono service, and it was the same service for service. Then they can do it that way. But you can't say, well, I had.
But wouldn't that be difficult?
I did more pro bono work here than I did here.
Yeah. So Tom wants to know, kind of shift gears for just kind of a brief second, and then we'll come back to health. Tom wants to know, what's your stance on gun rights?
The Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. It's just that plain and simple.
Okay, so you're fully on board with shall not be infringed.
Correct, and right there on that website that I gave you earlier, if you go there and go to issues in the Second Amendment, it goes in detail explaining the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is two parts, not just one. It is two parts, and the right of a people, the right of a well-regulated militia shall not be infringed, and then the right of the people to bear arms shall not be infringed.
Right.
So there are two different components there, and I break them down and define that why what these mean and why they need to be why we need to strictly adhere to the Second Amendment. It has nothing. A well-regulated militia has absolutely nothing to do with the state National Guard.
Very good.
It has nothing to do with the Army, Navy, Air Force, anything like that. It has nothing to do with that, because the Constitution was written to restrict government, not to restrict the people.
Yeah.
And
Very good.
so,
Yeah.
so
I agree on that.
It says the Second Amendment says that that a well-regulated militia for the to secure the freedom of a free people, I believe. Okay, and so what that means?
Well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. So because of that, the way that is written, that means that that is a militia that is to defend the liberty, the protection of liberty of a free state.
Right.
It is not there to, so that would be a militia that is, that has risen to protect those liberties, protect the Constitution.
Yeah.
It is not a militia that has risen to, go, fight, fight some war over, in Afghanistan.
Right.
It's not something that was put in place to, say, well, that you can have a militia to, introduce socialism. It's not, anything like that. It's all defined there, but it's to protect the Constitution.
Very good. So, what's your take on, like, for example, the Medicaid waivers? Okay, those are for the disabled members of the community, developmentally disabled, physically disabled. Medicaid in and of itself, should that continue to be handled by state Medicaid, or would you transfer that to privatized healthcare?
Well, I mean, why would we need Medicaid waivers if we have a system where those that are not able to afford insurance,
right,
through a provider, they could get pro bono services through a provider? We wouldn't need a Medicaid waiver.
Right,
because,
but there's more than just doctors, though, that are covered by that.
No. That's what I'm saying. With this pro bono system, any healthcare provider can do this. I don't care what the services is, whether you're getting an X-ray, whether you're getting blood work, an office visit, surgery, massage therapy, physical therapy, whatever it is. No matter what it is, that would be considered pro bono service. I don't care if it's brain surgery. They would be able to take the cost of that surgery off as a deduction to reduce their I gotta be careful how I say that, to reduce their tax liability. So I mean, they could essentially, if they do enough pro bono work, they could reduce their tax liability down to zero.
Right, but what I'm saying, though, I understand from, like, the licensed healthcare perspective, like doctors, X-rays, stuff like that. But what about the people that go into someone's home to watch them during the day, direct care providers?
That's a home healthcare worker, and that's still considered healthcare.
So how would they get paid?
It's the same aspect. They have paid clients. They just don't do Medicaid clients. Actually,
it's almost exclusively Medicaid.
Some people, some places do have almost exclusive like that, and that's because it's guaranteed income.
Right. Okay. All right.
If there was I don't foresee that there would be an issue. I mean, of course, there's going to be some restructuring of how businesses work, and they may not do 100% Medicaid clients, but that's just like the transportation companies that are out there, the cab companies and stuff like that, that would rather go pick up a Medicaid client than to be out there on the streets turning their fare light on.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. Unfortunately, though, I think that some of the services are necessary. I get, and it's just, it's a disagreement that we'll have. We won't hash it out here, but unfortunately, and I wish there was a system.
You're right. There's a lot of details to be looked at. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know absolutely everything about healthcare. I know,
I don't either. I don't claim to. I don't claim to.
There's a lot of details that got to be worked out.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and it's not a 100%, hey, let's jump in the deep end type thing either.
Right.
I mean, you got to work your way into, back into a free market society or a free society.
Right.
And so you have to work your way back into this. It's not about jumping into the deep end. It's about taking those steps though to get back into the deep end, and making sure that everybody's taken care of, but doing it in a way that you're not stealing someone's income, and not telling somebody, well, I guess if you don't have insurance, then I guess you deserve to die. That's not the way to be.
No, I wholeheartedly agree with that point, that just because someone can't afford insurance doesn't mean that they should have to go without. We have far too many people these days who either don't have proper representation because of insurance, or the insurance constantly denies them everything that they try to put in. I understand that. I understand that 100% perfectly. Okay.
I had an insurance company that was providing my insulin pump stuff for my CGM, and then they told me that the transmitter from my CGM was I switched to a different insurance company, and so that I could have go to my eye doctor, because they didn't accept my other insurance. So I switched to them specifically so I can go to my eye doctor, and then I get told by that insurance company that, which is Blue Cross Blue Shield. That,
Lord.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna.
I get told by them, oh well, we're not going to cover your transmitters.
Yeah. It's hard to determine.
We'll cover the part that goes in your arm, but the transmitter that attaches to it, we're not covering that.
Yeah. It between Blue Cross Blue Shield, which Anthem now is pretty much that. Between Anthem, United Healthcare, and Humana, I don't know which one of those is worse. They're all horrible. And unfortunately, we the people are the ones that end up paying for it, and they're making record profits. Kenneth wants to know, how would you go about fixing our infrastructure? We know here, especially in Northwest Indiana, right? We see the roads are terrible. For the most part, the interstates, they kind of keep decent with the casino money, but in town, we know our roads are terrible, right? Obviously, as a District 1 rep, you're going to represent the federal dollars. So how are you going to make sure those federal dollars go to where they need to go?
So I suppose that he wants me to say, well, I guess without the government, who will build our roads, right? Who will fix our roads? That's the standard. That's the standard thing that you say to a libertarian.
Maybe, I don't know. Look, I'm gonna just throw this out there. I actually don't have that much knowledge or experience in talking to that many libertarians as a platform or even as individuals. I'm just curious though, because let's say the election happens, right? And you win. You're going to be our congressional representative for 1st District, Indiana. You're going to have to go to Congress, and you're going to have to make sure that the federal dollars that we're being sent to keep our roads fixed are going to get there, because you're not going to be able to change everything overnight. But we know in order to change things, we have to do it from within. That's why I'm running. That's why you're running, because we can talk all day from outside the system about what needs to be fixed. But until we get in there, we're not going to be able to do anything. So how are you going to make sure that the federal dollars, A, are going where they need to go, and B, that we're actually, providing federal dollars?
All right. So
and Ken said he's just asking your view here. That's all. He's not trying to say, no, libertarians believe burn it all down or anything like that. He was just curious.
No, so no, it was just.
And I'll put this up here for the next
No,
question.
that was just a pretty standard thing that normally if somebody says to a libertarian when it comes down to the whole infrastructure thing, so without government, who's going to fix our roads? And what I want to know is, with government, who's fixing our roads now?
Yeah.
I mean, because LaPorte County, I wasn't. Well, it's a. I don't even know which county would probably be the worst in the first district for the condition of our roads. I really don't. Man, that's the problem. What is going on now that is
well, the most current example.
Why are we not having our roads
fixed
now?
Yeah.
Klein Avenue.
Yeah, the Klein Avenue Bridge, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, between Klein and Clay Street and Gary, I think they're both about the same. There's probably potholes there that are going to probably lead through to China somewhere.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. They are pretty bad.
You know what? They are pretty bad. Maybe that's why Lake County has over 1,000 people infected with corona.
It could be.
Maybe it was a direct route from China through the pothole.
I mean, I like to say that anything's possible. I don't know if I can give you any credit. I mean, that's pretty extreme.
But the reason why Lake County's got so many is it's the whole transmission aspect from people coming out of Chicago and other places, traveling through all the truck stops in Lake County, stuff like that. That's how Lake County's got it so bad.
So Shannon wants to know where you stand on organized labor. Are you a pro-union guy, an anti-union guy, or just in the middle?
Well, so if Paul's in here, he will probably be like either that, or if MX is in here, they're going to be like, oh, he hates unions. Wow, he hates unions. He's completely 100% against unions, but that's not the case.
Okay.
So I have ran a non-union shop since '98, electrical and IT. But that doesn't mean that I'm against unions. That just means that I don't prefer unions for myself. I was forced into a union when years ago when I worked at a steel mill in LaPorte.
Okay. There was a steel mill in LaPorte?
Yeah. Well, they say they're a steel mill. It's a castings place. It's
Helmet?
No, it's right behind
Alcoa?
No, it's not Alcoa. That's Helmet. The one that's right behind Al's. It's over there by Al's. They're off of Lincoln White. I think it's maybe LaPorte Castings or something like that. But anyway, when I worked in their chipper grinder department years ago, it was I was forced into being a member of the union.
Okay.
And forced to pay. It was literally that long ago. Because I was forced to pay union dues,
right?
Even though I wanted nothing to do with it. Yeah. So it was like early 2000s, and so I went ahead and I didn't want to pay the union dues. I wanted nothing to do with it. I'm a big believer that if I put in the work and if I do what I'm supposed to do, and if then I'm going to be rewarded for what I do. And that's how I treat people. That's how I believe that I should be treated too. And a collective bargaining system is not something that I want to be a part of. If I'm not putting in my fair share and doing what I'm supposed to do, I shouldn't reap the rewards. But if someone wants to be a part of that, then okay, who am I to say that you shouldn't be? So then go ahead. I mean, unions are for some people, unions aren't for some people.
How do you feel about right to work legislation?
Well, okay.
First, how up on it are you? How much do you know about the right to work legislation?
Okay, so with right to work, you shouldn't. The part of it that states that before before they made those changes, with the whole union situation, and it was, well, okay. So for starters, with this whole right to work situation, you can be a part of the union, but if you choose not to pay union dues, then and choose not to pay union dues, then you can still reap the rewards of the union, and that you shouldn't do that.
Right.
You should,
Right.
if you're not paying dues and you don't want to be part of the union,
Mm-hmm.
then don't reap the rewards.
Right. Right.
I mean, it's just that simple.
Right.
But so I mean, otherwise, right to work, yeah, it sucks. You can be fired for just no reason,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of discrimination that happens is hidden within right to work firing.
Yes, it is. And a lot of people aren't aware of that.
But I mean, in a free society, a company has the right to hire you, and a company has the right to fire you if they don't want you there. And I mean, if I were to say that you have any type that you should have any type of protection other than what the EEOC provides, that is, I can't really say that because that's not a free society.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah, Chuck says Lake County, for instance, has the most efficient bridges of any Indiana county. Pete has the list, and almost no one knows that. And that's really quite scary. It is. That is because, look, let's face it, millions of people travel these roads and these bridges, and it could be me and my family that are over that bridge one day when it gives out. That's something that is kind of near and dear to my heart as far as infrastructure goes. Obviously, given my background as a driver, that's really important to me. But yeah, I do know that Lake County is horrible.
I mean, I have one of the companies that I own is a moving company, and so I mean, I understand that completely.
Okay, so yeah,
I deal with logistics, and so.
And Chuck does bring up a good point. Why do conservatives support unions when they give $2 billion to Democrats each year? And you know what? That's a really good point, Chuck. We've seen it over and over where the membership of the unions is conservative, right? They generally have American values. They generally have conservative values. Religion, guns, things, the Constitution, these are all things important to them. But the leadership, again and again, has thrown money behind candidates who represent the exact opposite. So how do we do that? How can we take care of that? As Shannon said, leadership is their own entity. We do not all support what you're propagating.
What is going on, dude? You see that count?
I know. I see. We're up above 3,000. That is crazy. How many do we have here? Let's see. We got 3,280 people watching on YouTube. Let's see. Sam.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Sam said that's a very good point, and I'm union and conservative. Can't change our PAF, unfortunately. And he said it's pathetic, and do not disagree with Chuck that leadership continually gives money to people that don't represent their interests, right? So what's your take on this whole virus thing? Obviously, we know. I'm not asking you, what you think of the virus, because obviously everybody can agree it's bad. But the governors and in some cases mayors, right, are really overstepping their bounds. If you were in Congress right now, let's say you were, an elected representative for the 1st District of Indiana, you had Pete's job right now. What would you do right now to some of these governors and mayors? Would you send out a statement? Would you call them? Just out of curiosity, what would you do?
Well, first of all, I would have to say that the Bill of Rights is my pay grade.
Right. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I mean, with that being said, I mean, I would do whatever it took. I mean, the first thing that I would probably do, because I know that well, I mean, I don't know. I would either one, go public about it and make a public statement that, hey, look, you know that this is a violation of people's rights. Cut the shit out.
Right.
Or I may take the route of calling them first and being like, hey, we need to adjust this. If we don't, then I'm going to have to step in, and then I'm going to make this public statement, and I'm going to make a big deal about it. And then at that point, you got protesters at your door, and this and that and the other. Because when you got a congressperson saying, that, hey, there's a problem here, and rights are going to be violated, and it's not right to go and tell a church and go in with guns into a church and say you cannot hold your service here in Hammond. There's a problem with that.
That was absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, and a clear violation. When even the Attorney General of Indiana said, you can absolutely worship, right? You can hold your services, just be safe. And it was disturbing to me how gleeful the mayor was with that whole Hammond. I mean, he was like, right? I mean, it was ridiculous. Liz wants to know what's your stance on immigration. Are you in favor of Donald Trump's immigration policies as they currently stand? Do you think we should have open borders? Do you think we should completely close everything down? What's your take on immigration?
Okay, so my stance on 1 second. All right. So my stance on immigration is that all right. So as Americans, we believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and we believe that those are all unalienable rights given to us by our Creator, whomever or whatever that may be. So with that being said, we don't believe that those rights were given to us by our government, and they couldn't have been.
Right.
So then those were given to all of humanity, not just Americans. So saying that we can travel from state to state, city to city, and all that because we have the right to free travel and everything like that is completely thrown in the face if you say, well, but it's not okay if someone else can come here from Mexico or Canada or Europe or wherever they want to come from, because we also have this other concept in the United States here called innocent until proven guilty.
So let me hold on. So let me ask you: are you saying that we should just have open borders?
What I'm saying here is that we need to stick with the Constitution. Okay, and so does the Constitution say that because the Constitution restricts government and what they can do and what they can't do? Does the Constitution say that we can restrict who can travel in our country and who cannot? Who can come into our country and who cannot? Does the Constitution say that? I don't care what the world says and what the world's policy is about who they let in and out of their country. I'm talking about what our Constitution says.
Right.
The Constitution says that the government has that authority.
I see what you're asking, but of course,
you can't answer that because
no, because I can.
Because it doesn't say that.
Right, but my point is,
so that's
yes,
all
the Constitution is
all that's needed. Because you have
the only thing that matters is the Constitution.
The Constitution. If you don't like the Constitution, change it.
No, I love the Constitution. I've got part of it on the back of my truck. What I'm saying though is that if you don't like that the Constitution doesn't say, well, then the government can't restrict that. Then if you want the government to be able to restrict that, then change the Constitution. But until we change the Constitution, if it doesn't say that the government can do this,
then the government can't do this. It's just
But it
that simple.
doesn't.
It either says that the government can do this, and that's it. It doesn't say, well, hey, well, if the
But the
Constitution doesn't say this, then it's okay. Maybe it's okay. We'll have to let the legislative, the judicial branch decide. That's not what it says. It's to restrict what the government can do. It's to limit the powers of government. Therefore, if it doesn't say it, it doesn't exist.
Okay. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little confused, but that's okay. I'm not going to.
Well, if you want something, I thought I was pretty clear, but if I need to, be more clear about something, ask, because I want to be clear about it. Maybe other people are confused too. But it's just simply that simple. That if you want the government to restrict who can come in and out of the country simply because you're afraid and you don't know if they may be coming here to do harm or they may be here to do something else, whatever, then fine. Have a constitutional convention and, have all the socialists get involved. And while they're letting you have your immigration policy, they're also going to be putting their stuff in there too. And we could just have a completely new constitution by the time we're done.
Okay.
It's literally that simple. But unless there's always a possibility to change the Constitution. If you don't like it, get your.
But I don't think it's necessary to change the Constitution in order to restrict who comes into the country. That's what laws are for. You can't. The Constitution is the highest law of the land, absolutely, but it's not the only law.
Laws don't supersede the Constitution.
Right.
It is the highest law. Therefore, it can laws that are below that cannot overrule that. And if the government's limited to only making laws that are within the scope of the Constitution, that would be like Microsoft saying, you know what, we are going to, it's not within our privy, but we are going to say that that Apple can't do this. They can't do that. They're limited to doing whatever they are limited to do within their bylaws.
Right. But the Constitution is for the citizens of the United States. Correct. That's the whole entire purpose of the Constitution.
The Constitution is to limit the powers of government.
Right. Limit the power of government over the citizens of the United States. It doesn't apply to other countries.
Correct.
Just like it doesn't apply to illegal immigrants.
Correct.
Just like they shouldn't have protection here on they shouldn't be able to sue for violation of rights because they're not covered under the Constitution.
That I agree with. Okay.
Right.
Exactly. So that one part just simply applies to whether they can, come or go, travel aspect of it. Now,
what you're saying is they should be able to come and go as they please.
So the other aspect of it is whether they can apply for Medicaid, whether they can get any type of government assistance, whether they can get anything off the back of the taxpayer that they are not paying into, or they have no reason to get, and they should not get that because you can't say there are two aspects to what people are saying why they don't want illegal immigrants, and that's for one because we've completely lost this whole concept of innocent until proven guilty. The second thing, and because everybody believes that for a little false security, because all these immigration practices are in place, yet we got these Chinese people over here working for universities, on these visas that contributed to this whole coronavirus situation. We have all of these other terrorist situations. So it's false security. So for false security, you're willing to give up certain amounts of freedom. So people think that you should have to show your papers. You should have to have ID. You should have to have this and that. So
okay. No, I'm glad. Hold on. I'm glad you brought that up because that kind of leads into the next segment.
Coming over here, then it's the whole thing of people coming over here to get benefits that they shouldn't be getting, and
Right.
they shouldn't be getting those.
Right,
You
they shouldn't.
shouldn't be coming here to get those. It's fine if you want to come here to get out of a bad situation that you have in the country you're in, and
So do you-
want to be able to provide for your family here. But come here and provide for your family. I started my first business on $50 in my pocket that I earned from a paper route. I didn't, and I expect that if anybody else wants to come here from another country, then then do what you got to do, and put your head down and
right, but do it legally.
What makes a person illegal? Because you're human and you're born somewhere else?
Okay, yeah, I can't even. I look. We have to have laws, right? We have to have laws in a society, or you're going to spit. Look,
you do.
I understand.
I agree.
I understand
but you also have to do it within the confines of the Constitution.
Right, but the Constitution applies to citizens. It applies to the government that oversees the citizens of the United States, right? So therefore, the people that.
So it's okay to make a law saying that that I don't know that the citizens of France have to do this and this and this.
I don't care about France.
You can't. It's not.
To hell with France.
You can't.
I'm talking about the people who sneak across the border, who bring.
You can't make laws about a jurisdiction you have no control over.
No, we have jurisdiction over the United States, and once they cross into this country, that's our jurisdiction. Just like if someone swam across from Canada, right, and came ashore in Michigan City at Washington Park, if they swam across from Canada and they came up on the beach, we would have jurisdiction over them. The Michigan City Police Department would, even though they're a Canadian citizen, they are on foreign soil, our soil. Right? So we would have jurisdiction. The Michigan City Police Department would, the FBI would, whatever. You can't just let people come in here into the country illegally, and you can use what makes them illegal, what makes them legal. The fact that they're here and not a citizen, that's what the fact that they haven't applied for a visa, the fact that they haven't registered with any law enforcement agencies, the fact that they have snuck across the border, and in many cases bring drugs, bring other people with them. Look, kinds of people are going to come to this country, and I'm all for people who come here legally, who go through the system. We all, at some point, right, immigrated to this country. Even the Native Americans came from somewhere else originally. They came across the Bering Strait. There's evidence of that many, 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 many years ago. Yes, but the point is, we all originated elsewhere. But my parents, grandparents, their grandparents did so legally. They came to Ellis Island, or in my case, my people came from through Acadia, right, in southern Louisiana. It's a different system, but they did so legally. And to imply that we can still have the things that would have made this country great by just allowing whoever the hell wants to come in, I have to wholeheartedly disagree with that. We have to have
I understand
systems in place.
So I understand exactly what you're saying. So you're saying that the very thread and fabric of what makes what has founded our country and what defines our constitutional republic above any other system of government in the world matters not one iota, because
I never said that.
Well, no, let me finish, okay? Because you're saying that even though that these unalienable rights that are given to us because we're simply human by our Creator only apply to Americans, and that's it. It's like
I didn't say that either.
Well, I mean, so then these unalienable rights apply to anyone else that's human.
Of course they do.
Okay, so then therefore they have the right to be able to travel freely, unmolested,
not
without
here,
having to show
Incorrect. Incorrect. Because there is no way to determine. Here's the thing: I don't believe that
because they're guilty until proven innocent. I understand.
Okay, listen, I'm not going to get anywhere with that with you. I understand what you believe. I just believe that what you believe is wrong. And you believe that what I believe is wrong, and that's okay. We can agree to disagree on that.
I'm simply sticking with. I'm simple. I mean, well, no, it's not about what you believe. It's about I'm sticking with the what has founded our country, the very thread and fabric of our constitutional republic.
Look, I'm not saying that you should be stopped every moment, right? I'm not saying you should be stopped and asked for papers. What I'm saying is that we have people who came to this country, who went through the process, who waited 10 years, who learned the language, who are assimilating, right? And then we have those who did not. We have those who snuck across the border, either because they wanted a better life or because they wanted to traffic. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. The people came across, right? And they are not learning the language. They are not assimilating. They don't care about this country. They proudly fly the flag of their home country, and that's fine.
English and French. So what is wrong with Canada uses English and French? So what's wrong with two languages?
I'm not saying anything's wrong with multiple languages. What I'm saying is that unless we have laws, right, unless we have people that are willing to assimilate, that are willing to learn the culture of the country that they're immigrating to. Look at what's happening in Europe, man. Look at all the mass of immigrants that have come through, right? And they are surrounding women. They are sexually assaulting them because it's all they know. Okay, and that's not okay.
That's the thing, though. There is no guarantee within the Constitution of changing our society to be acceptable to Sharia law. There's nothing in the Constitution that even remotely says that. So the things that are happening in places like Dearborn and other places are simply because we have fell so far away from our constitutional republic and our thread and fabric of the way this country was founded that there's no way that of course we're going to fall into the same traps and the same things that are going on in Europe if we kept with our the very thread and fabric of how this country was founded. And
wait a minute.
Then we would not fall into those same areas of problems that they're having.
I just want to point out that Sharia law
it's against the law. It's against the law to beat somebody. I don't care if both people are Muslim and it's a part of your religion or whatever. It's against.
So you're opposed to Sharia law?
Of course.
Okay, I'm just making sure because I just want to make sure that Okay.
It's okay because there are you have protections against a person and protections against a property. And here in the United States, we believe that every individual is their own person. They are equal to any other person, and that no one is above anyone else. So therefore, you have no right to beat someone else simply because your religion says that you are because you're her husband, that you're somehow above her, and that this and that and whatever. Okay, if you want to do that, then go somewhere else. But those aren't American values. It's not how our country was founded, and so the Sharia law has no place here.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Sharia law is actually against the Constitution in a myriad of ways. Tom said, why are illegals coming? The U.S. drug war sent them here. I would agree with that. And not wholly, right? That's not the only reason. Shannon said it's the American dream, the American prosperity. It's a combination, right? We have a few different reasons why we have so many people that are, trying to get into this country. Let's see here. And again, Tom said, I'm sure it has nothing to do with the drug war we started that takes thousands of lives in those countries.
Right, exactly.
I'm with you there. Look, I said it before.
I mean, we need to stop this whole drug war. We need that's another part of the criminal justice reform. We need to stop this drug war. We need to make sure that people that are in prison for crimes that are victimless crimes, we need to get them out of there, and we need to there are so many things that need to be reformed because we have come so far away from the founding of our constitutional republic.
Okay. I would agree with that. There are a myriad of things that need to be fixed, but how are you going to change that? How are you going to fix what's wrong with the criminal justice system? Do you believe that any and all victimless crimes, and what do you define as victimless crimes? I'm just curious.
Well, okay, we could start
because different people have different definitions.
No, a victimless crime is a victimless crime. That's just the way it is. If there's no victim, there's no crime. Finding somebody for a seatbelt violation, victimless crime.
Okay.
Completely asinine.
Okay.
All the way up to,
what about theft?
Theft. How is that not a victimless crime? You have to.
That's what I'm asking.
Stealing. The only way you can steal something from someone or steal something is it has to belong to someone else.
Right.
Therefore, there's a victim.
So there is a victim on theft. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure I understand. That's what about like drug use?
If you're not harming anybody, what you do, it's your body. What you do with it is your business.
Okay, crack, heroin, stuff like that. Those are all I'm just asking. Possession. What about distribution?
Well, I mean, is it against the law to? Well, I mean, I guess it depends on where you're at, but
well, yeah.
I mean, because I guess if you're on the 16th Street Mall in Denver, then
right, yeah, you can't.
I mean,
bottles, right.
unless you're pretty much, giving sexual favors to the mayor, you really can't sell, anything. Even giving away food to the homeless is against the law. So, I mean,
right.
So I mean, distributing drugs. I mean, who cares? It's a business. That's just like prostitution. It's a business. It's not something that, maybe what we would consider a moral business.
But don't you think that there are?
But I mean, is an adult toy? I mean, would we still consider an adult toy store a moral business? Probably not. But they're still legal.
What about the people that are hurt,
business, but there's more strip clubs in the northern part of Lake County than.
Well, let me ask you this.
Having the whole city of Chicago.
Let me ask you this, okay? So let's say for a moment, right, that you consider drug distribution a victimless crime, okay, and then someone ODs. Is there then a victim? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm honestly legitimately curious.
No. Okay. So then it's not a crime.
Okay.
It's not a crime.
It is a crime though because it's against the law to deal drug. I'm not talking about in a state where marijuana, distribution is legal and there's a dispensary. I mean, like slinging crack out of your crack house, for example.
Okay.
That's illegal in every state. So is there a victim in that? You said earlier no, but obviously if someone the heroin ODs on it or crack or whatever ODs on it and dies, there's a definitive victim. So then is now a victim been identified and the person then gets arrested?
Okay, so what happens when Eli Lilly sells a drug and someone ODs on it, or it was used in a way that it was or it was used in how it was supposed to be used, but the person still dies. Why is that not a crime?
I'm right there with you on that. Trust me. I am right there with you on that.
Here's the thing, though. There needs to be better enforcement and proper enforcement of civil protections for liabilities, for civil liabilities. But when it comes to a crime, it's not a crime. If you didn't intend, for it to be a crime, you have to intend for someone to be hurt or intend for this to happen. If there is no intent, then there's no crime. It was an accident that the person OD'd. It was an act, or whatever. It was an accident that had happened. Therefore, it falls under
Okay.
a civil liability. Civil liability.
Okay.
See
I
what
think
I'm
that I see. Yeah, Chuck said opioids are approved and prescribed, and they are killing thousands each year. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I am one of the few that saw when the people were actually being prosecuted that were involved in that whole thing. I am for that because this whole thing has been going on for way too long with the opioid abuse, with the pill mill factories and stuff, which actually goes back to something that Kenneth had said. Oh yeah, we're 4,200. Yeah.
Damn,
Something
dude.
Kenneth had said, which is that he was actually blowing the whistle on that whole thing. His phone, he wanted me to mention so people know, his phone actually messed up after that interview. We weren't able to get some of the documentation, but he is going to be back on at another time where he's going to have more information that he says he's collected over the years. Liz says, so let's talk about prostitution, right? Prostitution, is that a victimless crime?
It is.
Okay. But what about the prostitutes that are
I would say that the only victim involved in that is the prostitute being told that she can't freely make her income in a free society however she wants. Or he, because they're male prostitutes, whatever.
Right.
So, I mean, I would say that they are the victim.
Right. I think that there are arguments.
If it's not against the law to dance on a pole naked, if it's not against the law to be on a DVD or on Pornhub, then what is the difference? Why is it against the law to provide a service? Better yet, if it's not against the law to do massage therapy, and if it's not against the law to provide counseling services, and those things are help people de-stress and help them in other ways, why is it against the law to go see a prostitute and have your stress relieved that way?
Right. Okay.
Or whatever. I mean,
I get what you're saying. I understand.
The only people that are involved is the John and her.
Right.
So
but
what does it matter to you?
But unfortunately, a lot of times they're not in control of their actions. They're not, making the decision to sell their bodies. They're actually being controlled and forced in human trafficking.
That's because
Lake County is actually the number one county in Indiana for human trafficking.
And that's because we've made a black market for that situation. Without that black market then you would not have as many human trafficking situations.
Wait a minute. So you think that there's no human trafficking in Nevada where it's legal?
I said you wouldn't have as many human trafficking situations because you're still going to have human trafficking when it comes to human trafficking of children. You're going to still have human trafficking of other things. But when you create a black market situation for human trafficking in general, you have a bigger human trafficking problem.
Right.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Okay. So we can drastically reduce this human trafficking situation simply by eliminating the black market.
And how would you do that? Just by making it legal?
Make prostitution legal.
Like Nevada?
Yeah.
But Nevada uses a certification system, kind of like doctors and massage therapists. So
see, that's the thing, though. I mean, you.
So you think just anybody should be able to do it with no oversight?
Right. However, like I was saying, if you choose, okay, so like for instance, there is a website. Okay, there's a website that you can go to that that is for surrogate mothers, okay, and surrogate fathers that will that provides a service that allows you to have badges on the website, certification, basically accreditations for having STD tests done. You pay for your STD test, and then it gets registered on there with the date that it was done and that it was passed. Drug test, all of that stuff. So they act like as an accreditation agency for surrogate mothers and fathers, and it would be the same way if you wanted to. If you say you wanted to go hire a prostitute, and you would be able to, if it was legal, you'd be able to go on a website and see, scroll down the list and be like, yeah, oh, you know what, this person, they don't have an STD badge there, but this one does and this one does. Maybe I'll just not go with that one there and decide between these two. So that's your decision. That's what happens in a free society, is you get to make those decisions for yourself.
Okay, I can see that, but Ken brings up, do you think it might make it easier for the human traffickers? And you do seem to be kind of passionate about that, and
No, I mean, I know. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. It's just the fact that in a free country, in a free society, there are certain expectations. When you have things that blatantly fly in the face of the thread and fabric of our society and what our country was founded on, then there's a huge problem there, that we could just have this out there in the open, that prostitution's illegal, or that you can only be a massage therapist if you're licensed in Indiana, or whatever, and and us be okay with that.
Right.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't know what you're doing, or you shouldn't stay safe.
Right.
What I'm saying is that in a free society, that you have that choice, because you own yourself. You have that choice to make those decisions for what's best for you, not what someone else believes is best for you.
Okay, I understand. So I think that made some interesting points tonight. Everybody, like, we've put his. That was your website, right? What was it? First to Liberty, or whatever it was.
Yeah, firstforliberty.com.
Firstforliberty.com, right. Made some great points for those of you out there who aren't sure what libertarians are about. Apparently, they are about free prostitution. They are
no. You should still have to pay
for open borders, free prostitution.
You should still have to pay for your prostitute.
There you go. Okay.
Never walk out and not pay your prostitute.
That's right. So, no, but in all seriousness, look into Mike, if
see that. Okay.
So the point, any of this stuff out there sounds like something you could support. I do have people asking something about a pig costume. Is there something that you want to let us know? Is that like, does that tie into the prostitution thing, or is it?
Well, no, it doesn't. Well,
okay.
Well, I mean, if you were to ask the Lake County prosecutor, it might. But,
okay.
Yeah, but otherwise, no, it doesn't. It has nothing to do with obscene material or anything like that. It's a character called qualified immunity.
Okay, what does that mean?
Okay, so the character qualified immunity is a pig suit with blue line shorts and blue line flag shorts, fuzzy cuffs, and sometimes, it depends on where I'm at, I'll wear either a U.S. Marshals polo or an ILEA polo, or something like that, and he's got a blue line cape. Okay, so he's basically the leader of the Blue Line Gang, and he goes around and he tells you, fuck your rights, that they don't matter, stuff like that, and it's a satire way to point out what is going on in this country in regard to how citizens are being treated by law enforcement, and what they're able to get away with simply based on this whole doctrine of qualified immunity, and the loopholes that they try to get around, and all that, in order to try to get out of just being able to violate your rights without consequences.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I can understand wanting to bring attention to rights violations, right? That's a cause that I think we can all get behind because nobody wants their rights violated. But I think that remember how I when I discussed earlier about different ways that maybe the conversation could have been steered to not
Actually,
end up.
you know what? I've thought about this both ways because
Okay.
because for starters, that pig suit,
Uh huh.
and unless it's like a negative 32 degrees out,
Yeah.
unless it's negative 32, it is hot in there.
Oh, I can
You know?
imagine. I can
Yeah, so
imagine.
it is
Any of
hot.
those costumes are generally like, oh my god, it's
Yeah, so I mean, basically, unless it's negative 32, it gets really hot in there, and it's something I would rather not do.
right.
But so, I mean, I've given a lot of thought to it, and unfortunately, it does get the message out much more effectively than just, than any other method. And it's simply because it brings people's attention. They're like, there's a there's a pig standing there flipping me off. I
Right.
mean, what's going on? This pig, he's got a blue lion cape. What is going on here? And then they notice the fuzzy cuffs, and then it becomes a whole thing, and it brings them in for a conversation. And
Okay.
so I mean, unfortunately, it has to go to that point to get people's attention to bring them in for that conversation and to be able to have that conversation with them of what's going on and what we need
Yeah.
to do to be able to
Have
change this.
Have you been arrested in it?
I have not
The
yet.
cost. Okay. Okay.
I've been wanting to.
You
That'd be nice.
trying? Is that
Yeah,
a goal?
okay. Maybe. So the closest I've come to that, it's not a goal, I don't
Oh,
say.
okay.
I wouldn't say it's a goal, but
Okay.
I mean, it would be sort of funny. I would have a field day with that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, so if people want to see on YouTube, if they go to YouTube, type in qualified immunity, Pink Lives Matter, it'll bring up a video of me and one other person at the federal courthouses in federal courthouse in Chicago. And I walk in to the lobby of the federal courthouse wearing the pig suit, and I go in there to look at this like huge statue they got in this lobby.
Uh-huh.
And security comes up to me and they grab a hold of me and throw me out.
Oh, okay. How'd that work out?
They just threw me out. I mean, it was literally just that simple. I mean, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wasn't bothering anybody. They
Yeah.
just didn't like that I was mocking them, in this pig suit, and they didn't like that. So they were just gonna. They literally put their hands on me, grabbed me, and threw me out.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could have filed.
I do disagree with that. Yeah.
I mean, I could have filed a rights violation on that. I didn't because I mean, there are a lot more serious things that need to be handled, and with me handling most of my federal lawsuits on my own, I just don't get the time for that.
I can see that.
So I mean, and I would much rather focus my energies on other things that are more important.
Right.
So,
Right.
and
I understand.
I do a lot to try to help others when they come to me with saying that their rights are violated and things like that. I try to help them with, pointing them in the right direction or getting them in touch with an attorney in their area or whatever may be needed to help them. And by filing a lawsuit on being thrown out in a pig costume, that just that just seems like a waste of time for me.
Right. I can see that.
Compared to
All
what I
right.
can really make a difference doing. But I would do want to. The last thing that I want to
sum
point
up.
out though is that, I mean, what my campaign is about, and while I, have libertarian values and I believe in libertarian concepts, we're not going to get to that point overnight. Just simply by electing me to Congress, we're not getting to that point overnight. We need to take baby steps. And we need to get our country back on track. We need to bring change
Yeah.
in this country. And in order to do that, we need to take those baby steps. But I believe that in order to take those baby steps, that I am the person that needs to be elected in Congress because I have the mindset of wanting to get to that point of back to the way our country was founded and the beliefs of the founders of this country, and someone and I don't believe that any Republican or Democrat candidate that could be on the ballot, including yourself, has the ability to do that as effectively as I can, simply because not because I'm a libertarian, but because of what I'm willing to do and what I believe in, and in order to get to that point, I know that we need to start small, and maybe so we need to reduce that spending in Congress. We need to rein that in, and we need to
I'm
take,
for that. I'm for reining in spending as well. I just don't want to let all the illegals in.
Okay. And then,
I'm
and here's the thing. You know what? Not everybody's going to agree on everything. I'm telling you what. I'm telling you what. You asked me what I believe, and I told you that's what that's what I believe. Okay, but that doesn't mean.
And I appreciate that.
That doesn't mean that I'm going to go to. That doesn't mean that, that if you elect me, I'm going to go to Congress. The first bill that I submit, is going to be to bring in all the illegals and throw them a huge party and everything else. Okay, because that's not
maybe
that's
the
not
third
happen.
or fourth.
No,
it's not
going to be.
I know. I'm just
at all, because that's because for me that is completely such a low issue. Simply now when it comes to making sure that they don't get those tax dollars, that's a priority issue.
That's good to know.
Okay,
that's good to know.
But the focus is on the first district and the citizens of the first district, and making sure that they don't have to pay higher taxes, and that to making sure that when it comes down to things like healthcare, and making sure that we can come up with a system that allows for accommodations on both sides, stuff like that. Yes, and being able to do those things, so long as it's within the confines of the Constitution, then I'm good with that. But I'm not going to go in there and say, well, I'm going to compromise outside of those confines of the Constitution, because I'm not going to do that. But if it's a compromise that says, it's still within the confines of the Constitution, okay, then let's go ahead and do this. Then okay, because there's a solution for everything, whether it's not constitutional or it's constitutional. There's a solution. We just have to be able to think as a society and be able to come up with that solution and get it in place. And so long as we focus on the Constitution as a priority, and still make sure that the citizens of the first district are taken care of, then those are my priorities.
Okay. All right. Well, it was a pleasure having you. I really enjoyed the time, and I'd like to do this again sometime. Maybe once I done get past the primary here, and maybe we can do this again.
I wish you the best of luck in the primary.
I appreciate that.
I mean, I've been sort of couldn't decide whether I should wish you the best of luck in the primary, or whether I should say, I hope that someone else wins the primary. But because obviously, if you win the primary, that splits the people that'll vote for me.
Yeah. So let me ask you. That's a good question, actually.
We're pretty close. We're pretty close.
Let me ask you, before you go, first of all, if you could cherry pick, right? If you could pick who you were going against on the Democrat side and who you were going against in the Republican side, in order to maximize your chance of getting elected, who would you pick to face on the Democrats?
Tom.
Okay. Yeah. Just because of how corrupt he is.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh, okay. Besides that, if Tom gets the Democrat nomination, you heard it here first. I will be visiting him at City Hall in the pig suit.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Let me know and I'll film it.
Yeah. I bet. There you go. See.
There you go.
Because,
see, we can both show up.
Here's the thing. He'll either have two. He'll have one of two choices.
Okay.
Either simply ignore it and not violate my rights, or think that he knows everything and violate my rights, and I don't even know what kind of bad press that'll invite.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so who would you pick on the Republican side in order to maximize your chances of getting elected?
Let's see. Are all of those that were listed still?
Yeah, I haven't heard of anybody dropping
primary?
out. Yeah, there's still 6 as far as I know.
That was you, Spencer, and
it's me, Spencer Lemons, Mont Handley, Bill Powers, and Delano Scaife.
Yeah, so Bill Powers, is he the former industrial arts teacher that taught at Boston?
He might be. I'm not sure. I know that he joined the Air Force back before it was the Air Force, when it was still the Army Air Corps.
Or no, wait, Powers may have been a science teacher. I know a Bill Powers that was a teacher when I was back in school.
Was he old then?
Middle-aged?
Yeah, so it might. I don't know. It might be him. If you were a little kid at the time, because when he was at the the Duneland Chamber of Commerce meeting, he got up, he told his little story, and he said that he joined the Army Air Corps. And I heard somebody, I was like, holy crap, that was the Air Force before it was the Air Force. He's 83 or 86, something like that. Realistically, though,
see, I don't know anything.
He doesn't have a website. He doesn't have social media. He doesn't, doesn't even have a smartphone, as far as I know. I'm not sure. I personally, you know what I think? I think that Mark talked him into running. That's what I think. That's kind of the impression he gave me after the FOP debate / forum. He kind of gave me the impression that that's kind of what happened. So Mark Leva. So yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know anything about Mont. I don't. Unless that Bill is the one that I know, I don't know anything about him.
Okay.
But I mean, I would say probably. I would probably say Spencer.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That's an interesting choice. Why? Do you think you could easily pull the votes that you need away from Spencer?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Spencer is definitely going to take the. For one, I think that it would be an interesting debate based on the fact that he is a former police officer in Hobart, I believe, right? Okay, and so he's definitely
a Hammond cop. He was former,
Hammond?
He's a current Hammond police officer, and he
former
is a former Munster police officer.
Oh, Munster?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he might have done 911.
911
dispatcher somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So either way, he's going to take that type of vote away from me 100%.
Right. Let's face it. Police officers aren't really, gonna line up to vote for. What's the costume's name again?
Yeah, qualified immunity.
Qualified immunity. Yeah.
Right. So. But the thing is that it would maximize the point that I want to get out. I mean, because because then it's a certainty that they're gonna bring up, all of this stuff that I do, and to raise awareness and to provide accountability and transparency. They're going to do that, but it's going to shoot them in the foot, because it gives me then a platform to be able to talk about that and put out there these things that are happening and this war that's happening here in the 1st District and how it needs to stop. So all that's going to do is just provide me with an additional platform to do that, and it will shoot them in the foot. But so I mean, that's why I would pick Spencer. And I would pick Tom because it provides me with someone that's in a public office to be able to not only because of how corrupt he is, and but I mean it would provide me with an opportunity with someone that's in a public office to simply show the voters, this is the type of person that you're going to be voting for.
Right.
And if they would throw someone out that simply walked into City Hall and was recording and asking questions about, what does your office do? What does your office do? Things like that. If they're going to throw someone like that out, or if they're going to arrest them and try to charge them with a crime, what are they going to do for you in Congress? Because they're self-serving, and that aspect, they're going to be self-serving when they get to Congress too. They're not going to care about you.
Yeah, and I see that. We've seen it from the powers that be in Northwest Indiana for a long time. So I'm right there with you. It should be interesting, regardless. I appreciate you coming on. I'm planning on having a lot more people on. So Spencer. Speaking of Spencer, said that he would come on. We'll see when, if we'll see. But he said he's interested. So I appreciate you stopping by. Give me your link one more time so I can drop it at the end of the comments for your website.
It's firstforliberty.com.
Firstforliberty.com. This is Mike Strauss's website that you can go and check out if it'll ever catch up. And mine is right under my photo, dionbergeron.com. You can also go to dionforcongress.com. I appreciate everyone coming out. I'm going to remove you from the stream. It was good talking to you. We will talk again soon. So take care.
Glad I could help you with your view count.
Oh yeah, no problem. You bet. Bye.
Have a good day.
All right, and again, shout out. There's his website, firstforliberty.com. There is Michael Strauss, who is the Libertarian candidate for Indiana's 1st District. I just want to let everybody know I will have everyone or anyone on the site, especially those that are running as a Libertarian, as a Republican, and at some point even I'll have some of the Democrats on. They could be a good opportunity to chit chat and say hello, right? For those who are, undecided as to whether or not you want Libertarian or Republican, just go back over, listen, watch. For those of you who are wondering who's coming up, I have a special surprise. One of the candidates, not the candidate, but one of the candidates that are running for Attorney General has agreed to come on the show. We're thinking Monday. That's the tentative. Stay tuned. I will put the link out there. And I learned something new today. I set up the feed early, right, as a plan. And so that way the feed was out there and you guys could save it or do whatever. I told you this is all new to me. I'm still figuring this out, but it was interesting, right? I'm learning a little bit every time I do this, just a little more every time. So thank you all to everybody who came out, especially those who stuck to it all the way through. And the other surprise that I got is Ken. He was on another day where he started telling his story about being a whistleblower. We're going to get back into that. We have to get everything set up. We have folders that we're uploading documents into and trying to get everything geared up for that. But I appreciate everybody coming out, and I will talk to everyone again very soon. Those of you who want to watch, by all means, YouTube, right here at Dion for Congress, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. I also have an Instagram. I do a little bit with that. So I'm going to try to do more. I try to be better. So thank you. God bless you, and God bless the USA.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers, Sean Holgram and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2020. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.